Good morning, good morning, good morning. Can y'all hear a bus? Oh man. Can y'all hear a bus? Oh man. Yes, 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 yes. Emotions make you sad sometimes. Boy, I see some woo. I see some sad people. I see some sad people on this thing. Hey, but boy, hey, listen, I want to say this. I want to start this thing off by saying God is good. I'm talking about man, he is amazing. And I think God has a sense of humor, a really, really, really funny, big sense of humor. Because I was I was gonna go live. I was gonna have all the smoke Sunday. I was gonna have a great time, be my normal crazy self. But I went to church yesterday. I just went to a church yesterday. Don't don't really attend church like I used to no more. But yesterday I went. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna engage in the back and forth on all the smoke Sunday after church. And then I see all this stuff going up. I'm like, God, dog, I want to they gonna go live and go crazy. But I had just said I wasn't gonna go live. I said, man, godly, I can't go back on my word. So I want to give y'all some of the scriptures that I took away from church that the pastor was talking about. He was talking about Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 18. Y'all check that out. He was talking about Peter chapter 2, 9 through 10. Um, he also was talking about, oh, then one of the messages of the church, one of the messages of the churches was that the devil believes in the church more than Christians do. That's why the devil give you 50 reasons not to go to church. But you always find no reason to stop you from going to the club, the Falcons game, all the life pleasures that we want to do. We make sure we get to those things. But to go to church, we make 50, 11 excuses. Oh, I got to get myself right. God ain't through with me yet. I'm a sinner. I got to just get a little better first. No, he wants you to come right now. So I had a great time. It was a fun experience. It was a new church, diverse church. So I'll probably go back. Um, but not that's out the way. But y'all make sure y'all stay prayed up. And also another thing in the church, don't let broken people. Is one of the messages, one of the takeaways. He says, don't let what's broken about people of the church allow you to turn your back on the church. So just because you got Pastor Jamal Bryant with his, with his situation and telling his wife to twerk in the church, don't let those acts of the people in the church make you turn your back on the church, because the church is the people, not a building. You know. But yeah, man, that's my takeaway. Oh, and then it says one of the things that I didn't know was Constantine legalized Christianity in 313 AD, 313 AD. And I was like, dang, that's kind of cool. It's a lot of stuff that I just learned just sitting there in that little bit of time, like an hour, hour and a half. So if you don't get prayed up, make sure you guys go get prayed up. Go to a church of your liking. Go get some God in your life, because these people out here are destructive and disgusting. All right. So amen, amen. But let's get to the events that I've been seeing going on YouTube. Okay. So I'm hearing that TJ's channel is clapped because TJ roasted Kev's girlfriend. So automatically, Kev was trying to get me involved. You know how they do; they always got to get me involved. But then I see the runaway junkie. Now I got another girlfriend. First, these guys put me with men. Now they put me with a light skinned, beautiful woman. Uh, They put me with a white woman. Now they put me with this black woman, but then they call me gay. So I don't know, man. I'm doing a great on this YouTube. All of the women that they put me next to, they are all beautiful. Shout out to each and every last one of them. Salute to them beautiful ladies. Maybe I'm a stand. Any ladies that want to be famous or get popular and just know how to market themselves. If you want to get popular, stand next to me. People will say you're my wife, my girl. We're sleeping together. It's no problem. You know, they paired me with Angela Stanton, that egg body. They paired me with everybody. And so it is what it is. So thank you guys. But the one thing that I do remember, right? I do remember a guy getting up on a panel and crying to my cousin. "Girl, why you let them come up on the panel and talk about my old lady like this?" So, hey, listen, dude, I know you hurt. I know you still not gonna bring that lady up on the panel. So it's okay. I'm not gonna fall for you guys' game. You want to get in this back and forth, and then in hopes that you guys can flag me. I won't give you the satisfaction. So I date whoever you guys say I date. Um, yep, I'm ugly, I'm angry, I'm all these things. But the one thing I'm not you. The one thing I'm not is I'm not you. And I'm gonna just stand firm in that. You guys over there have watched me for 48 hours in a row. You guys brought in the New Year's to me. So I know you don't want nothing to happen to me because you can't stand but watch me. So I gotta crank out new content so you guys can be mesmerized because that's not enough. If you guys gonna watch that much of me in 48 hours, I think it's time for me to crank out more and more content. Um, I think I'm gonna do a Bus Life Flavor of Love channel, Bus Life Love channel, because these guys are so interested in my love life, especially the men that are afraid to bring their girls out the shadows and scared to let their girls step up in the same room as them while they're talking. Especially those men. I mean, those men, yeah, you know, these men are really into where my penis goes. I don't know why, but they are really into that. But at the end of the day, it is 2026, and I know the trick. And now that I got you boys, I probably got every listen up, guys. Listen close, listen close. Come closer. You're not gonna be able to flag me, okay? I know y'all got YouTube on red alert. Y'all waiting on me to go off. No, no, no. Not saying anything about your lady friends. Cause I know you guys are on red alert. Won't be talking about that. No, 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 no. I want you guys to lay back, drink tea with your beautiful girls and with your beautiful family and your beautiful pools. And I want you to have a beautiful time. You know, I won't give you the satisfaction. You guys are obsessed with me. You watch me for 48 hours. It's time for me to crank out more content that'll let you watch me, I don't know, maybe a whole week the next time. You know what I mean? Maybe a whole week you guys can watch me the next time. But you got to get your friends to follow you anywhere but church. You can get your friends to follow you anywhere but church. Absolutely. But the thing that I do know is I'm not going to give you guys the satisfaction. You would like nothing more to try to bait me into talking about your significant other. See, one thing I know about basketball. So you shoot that elbow to somebody, right? Bam! I shot the elbow. They trying to shoot the elbow back because they mad. If y'all notice, I can't type in the junkie chat right now. I can't type in this chat with my main channel because the thing, that thing went and told him, you should let him talk about me on this channel. I'm tired of that. I don't care nothing about this, but I'm up here crying about it. So somebody should have stopped him. I don't care nothing about this, but why would you let him come up here and talk about me like that? Because I don't care, but I don't bother nobody. So I think you should get his ass about the chat. So there, boy, that runaway junkie went to my cousin panel and cried over there. Your girl bigger than mine. I said, whoa. I went up there. I'm like, Kel, how you gonna let this man say that about you, man? How you gonna let this man say your girl uglier than his? Come on, dog, or bigger than his? Come on, dog. Don't do that. Why would you do that? Like, oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then I think Kev really got in his feelings. And then Kev is, I'm not even going to make no assumptions, but I think I know what I know. But all the ladies there are attaching me to, oh my God, I love it. Keep it coming, guys. The ladies they attaching me to, JJ, she is fine. Dudes will goddamn love to get a little taste of JJ. Uh, uh, the other young lady, Mo, that they're attaching me to now, boy, look at here, and they would love to get a taste of her. Any girl that they attach me to, the other young lady, I'm not going to say her name because they have harassed that woman at her job. They attach me to her. Yes, Lord, she is gorgeous. So hey, man, just keep it up, guys. Keep it up while y'all are farting and stinking and scared to show your girls online. But hey, that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. TJ will get another channel. He will get another channel. But I'm not gonna fall for you guys, bait. No, 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 no. Well, it's really yeah. We got you mad. These boys is upset. Yes, Lord. This how you win right here, guys. Don't even worry about it. Just let them go crazy. This is exactly how you win right here. What are we going to? All right. We got CNN. We got CNN talking about the Trump situation because President Trump captured Venezuelan president and drug leader. That's what they're saying. He's a cartel leader. So they attacked, or they went in the middle of the night. Trump ain't playing. He went in the middle of the night, grabbed this dude up, snatched him up, put him in federal prison in New York. And now CNN is acting like Trump did something wrong when that's his job. This dude is on the wanted list. So they're treating him like a drug kingpin. That's what they're supposed to do. But let's get it.
You know, the president's supporters absolutely love is that he has been arguing since he first ran 10 years ago that he's going to end forever wars and put America first.
Yeah.
Now he says he's running Venezuela. He's totally open to putting boots back on the ground there. And he's signaling that Cuba and Colombia could be next. How is that America first?
I mean, look, I trust the president to make decisions that are in the best interest of Americans, of our country. This president gets results. I think when you have a guy who's not recognized as a head of state, who's head of a narco-terrorist criminal operation, who's cozying up to Iran and China, and he's doing it right here in our hemisphere, bringing that individual to justice, I think that's a good thing. Most Americans think that's a good thing.
The so-called Gang of Eight is notified before major U.S. military operations, but that didn't happen here. The Trump administration notified congressional leaders only after the attacks were underway. Here with me now is a member of that Gang of Eight, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Jim Himes. Thank you so much for being here. It's been more than 24 hours. Have you been briefed by anybody in the administration?
Still haven't gotten a phone call. Well after the operation yesterday, a staffer at the Office of the Secretary of Defense called the staff on the Intelligence Committee. But no, look, this is a long pattern and a particularly egregious example of a pattern of this administration not giving a hoot about the United States Congress, which, by the way, Jim Jordan just sort of gave the game away. I hope you can play that interview over and over and over again because he gave the game away, right? He said over and over again, I trust the president. I trust it. No, he's being asked to explain an imperial adventure. Right? I mean, you did a pretty good job. An imperial adventure from the guy who was going to be America first and not get into stupid wars. And his answer is, I trust the president. I trust the president. I trust.
I think President Trump had every right to do what he did as far as going over there and getting, if that guy is a terrorist, like they say he is. But the only thing that I'm leery about is that I do agree with what Sino video said a little bit, because I don't have Trump derangement syndrome, but I also don't disagree with everything somebody say. And it do look fishy a little bit that Venezuela has all these resources, and then now the United States capture their president, and they're going to take over that country. Like, What do you mean take over? That sound like we just doing some gangster to me. That sound like we doing some gangster You know, that's what it sound like. It sound like we just went over there and said, you know what? Y'all got all this resources, these oil, all this stuff. Y'all don't know what to do with it. I'm taking it. Kwame is one of his speeches in 2019. Kwame Reverend Farrakhan warned the president to leave Maduro alone. He did? Oh, let me see. Let me see if that's true. Oh. Okay, I see, yeah, somebody just put it in. All right, let me stop this then. Just colonizing. Yeah, it's giving off that vibe. I ain't gonna front. It's giving off the vibe that they're just doing this to go at the resources over there in that country. That's what it's giving off. That's exactly what it's giving off. Well, let's see. This is a video, and this is by Ellie from Africa. It's the original content.
Deceiving the members of Congress, prosecuting an unjust war. Is that not only reason to impeach him, but to set down his whole administration? Set down his whole administration. All of them are liars. All of them are murderers. You're trying to take Maduro out of office and get control of the largest oil reserve in the world. What kind of president called?
Damn, so he called this in 2019. He called this in 2019. Dang. I don't know what's going to happen because of this, but man, he called this in 2019.
I know America's going to war. But it's a war, President Trump, that you can't win. Babylon is fallen. Is fallen. Substitute America for Babylon. She's unraveling. America is falling. Is falling. Why are you falling, America? Because you have become the habitation of devils.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Now, we are seeing a large number of MAGA supporters and the white people coming out to call out the black community for keeping quiet over the problems that are facing the US today. Most who want in
I know America's going to war. But it's a war, President Trump, that you can't win. I know you say you got a lot of juice, $750 billion you're giving to the army, but you're only giving them that which is going to get more of them killed. Let me help you to see. You can win, but you can't win being a thug. You're trying to take Maduro out of office and get control of the largest oil reserve in the world. What kind of president calls somebody in the house of another, Guaido, and tells him, you can be the next president? But Maduro was voted in. You say, well, it wasn't a free and fair election. Do you remember Jimmy Carter? He'd been watching elections, over 104 of them. And he said, I'm quoting the former president, he said that the voting in Venezuela is some of the best that he has seen in 104 countries where he has looked at elections. Now, I don't know the truth, but I think Jimmy Carter has no reason to lie on Maduro. But you see, when you're a hustler, when you're a thief, when you want to take the oil, remember how the president...
Man, I will say this didn't age well, because when I first heard President Trump say we will be taking over Venezuela and make it good and clean, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this ain't gonna go over well, because this just looked like you strong on it. And that's probably exactly what it is. I ain't gonna lie. See, I can call a spade a spade. I think this is just big bank take little bank. This is the US flexing this muscle, and maybe he is doing some things that he shouldn't be doing or wasn't supposed to be doing. But I think all of our politicians are too. So I don't think this is the part where a lot of other countries don't like us, because we meddle in their business, and we do I believe do some gangster stuff over there overseas. High level gangsters. That's what it looked like to me. Israel is highly involved in this as well, KB. Man, this how American citizens get caught in the crossfire, because they don't have the firepower to beat the United States head up, but they have firepower nonetheless. When you drive people to do certain things, they'll do anything to get you back. So I'm just waiting to see what the fallout will be. But the one thing about America, they've already weighed out what the fallout is going to be, the collateral damage. They've already weighed that out and already determined that it's worth it. So anybody that don't believe that, you'll see. They done factored in what potential threats are, how they could potentially affect us. Trust me, that's what they do. It's what we do.
When he was running, he said, "Let's take the oil in Iraq. Take it." See, but your hands will get chopped off today, because you're not the power that you think you are. There's a new sheriff in town. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the two that back me. Now look, I think, Mr. President, you would be wise to leave President Maduro alone. Mr. Bolton, the man with the mustache, he's in a press conference with his sheep, and he's talking about sending 5,000 troops to Colombia, but he don't know that he got the notes so that the media could take a picture of it. Now they're trying to overthrow this man, even if it means sending us to war. I respectfully say to the president, I cannot back you if you're going to send American soldiers to war to die because you want that man out of power and you're meddling in the affairs of his country. I don't.
Is that why Trump said not one American troop lost, not one a piece of American equipment lost? Is that why he said that? Monroe Doctrine, KB. Monroe Doctrine.
I think no young soldier should go. just say hell no, I won't go, and adopt the Muslim position. We do not believe that we who declared ourselves to be righteous Muslim should be engaged in wars which take the lives of human beings, especially when we have nothing to gain from it. Unless you give us the necessary territory wherein we'll have something to fight for. But to go and spend our lives so you can use their oil and ruin their country. You got over the banking system. You are telling the banks, the man got gold in England. He's asking for them to send some of his gold back so that he can turn that gold to feed his people. President sent word, you don't give him nothing. See, you're gangsters. Now, Mr. Trump, America is the modern Babylon. I want to have a message for the Jewish people. I'm not a hater. You can't find one word in the millions of words that I've spoken where I ordered somebody to hurt a Jewish person.
This person say it's the way of the world. Either China, Russia, or Turkey was going to take a resource. Trump took it for America's future. God bless America. I say this all the time. In order for one to win, another has to lose. If you look at our ecosystem, in order for that fish to survive, it eats worms, it eats little small insects at the bottom. In order for bigger fish to survive, they eat smaller fish. And in order for us to survive, we eat the fish. So something has to lose in order for others to win. You can take it to plants. If there's a plant out there, because some people say, I don't eat anything that's living, but plants are living. So we eat plants. That plant has to no longer exist in order for us to live. So some of that sacrifice, that's why the Indians used to pray for their food and the soul of the animal that lost its life so they can continue their life. So if you look at it in that way, which some people do, this is just the cost of business, and every country does it. But some people are going to look at us like monsters, and when your cousins was like this on the block, your cousins that you call real ones, your uncles, they were like this. America is a corporation, and we got a military, and our military is gangster. And this is what happens all over the U.S. Be careful with his footage. Let me do an overlay. Bam. Audio only mode.
No, that's not me. But to tell the truth, I'm going to put a little truth on you today, and then I'm going to close it out. You've been such a beautiful, attentive audience. Now, look at the scripture. Babylon is fallen. Is fallen. Substitute America for Babylon. She's unraveling. America is falling. Is falling. Why are you falling, America? Because you have become the habitation of devils. A hole for every foul person. A cage for every hateful bird. Have you become a nation of devils? No. Oh, you got to think now. Who am I talking to? Is it people that love righteousness? Or is it a people that can't wait for me to end what I'm saying so you could get back to the fifth?
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet big.
Who am I talking to? Mr. Trump, this country has become a habitation of devils. Everybody rebelling against God. Look at the 10 Commandments. Put them back up so I can help the people to see how wrong America is. I'm almost finished, family. But please, oh, now you got it. Now look, you shall have no other gods but me. Stop it. You can stop right there. Or you make gods out of everything and bow down to it. Tell me the truth. You shall not make for yourself any idol nor bow down to it or worship it. Oh. How many idols do you genuflect to? How many idols are in the church? Your Holiness. How many idols have you made that people bow down to and worship the idol as though the idol has power? Come on.
Ooh, that man say, how many idols do you worship? And you worship this idol as if it has power. I'm telling you, he's spitting on this one now. This was what, 6-7 years ago? He's spitting on this thing.
You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. Well, we can move on. You shall remember and keep the Sabbath day holy. That used to be. What are you doing? What are you doing Sunday? I'm at the casino. That's what I'm doing. I'm watching the football game, baby. That's what I'm doing. You partying. Ain't keeping the day holy. Respect your father and mother. Yeah, go get them out of the old age home.
You will get a phone call in the morning after this email sent to Monique to KCS Law asking why is Monique supporting a man that's attacking a woman online, did horrible things to kids from Safe Harbor. You actually think that works? Hey, man, these people are sick. Listen, just go home about your business, bro. You thought that play was going to work, right? You thought you was going to show somebody. You thought I was going to get up here and I was going to rant and rave, yell, and talk about your people. You got everybody sitting by the computer with their flag buttons. You had all the 80 people that was watching you. They all 80 waiting to flag. And we talk about something else. So please stop harassing me. Let me screenshot this. The people that are being bullied and harassed are harassing me at almost 2 a.m. when we're talking about politics and we're entertaining people. I'm just trying to get my entertainment on. And I'm being harassed by somebody that want to talk nonsense at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, man. Yeah, you think it's going to work? I'm not going to talk crazy. Hey, Kyrie, boy, they swore up and down I was going to come up here and talk crazy today. They were waiting, boy. They ended the live and everything. Hey, you might as well go back live. Yeah, I was just in your chat. You might as well go back live. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about anybody. You can tell your people they can just watch and listen and do whatever they want to do. But I'm not talking about y'all people. So please get out of my chat. Screenshots being added to the email. Great job. Now, I may have something to say on like Twitch, maybe in a day or so, but I'll just keep you guessing. One thing I won't be doing is talk about y'all over here. I won't give you the satisfaction. So now you done came out the bushes. You done exposed your hand. You was just on my cousin channel crying that why you let him come up here and talk about him? Why you let him come up here and do this? Why you let him do that? Let him do that. And then you block me. So, hey, man. Hey, bro. I win. I mean, y'all so hurt right now. I don't want no smoke. I know y'all hurt and y'all watching. You know what I mean? So you won't get me, pimp. Hey, stand down. I know them sausage fingers is ready to hit the flag button, but listen, tell her to stand down, close the barn doors, You know, I don't want no smoke. Hey, oh, let me start timing these people out. They want to come over here, keep saying people's name and thinking that that's gonna make me say so. I got you, jokers. Got them in the feeling. Got them in the feeling. Big man, little man. Is you big man, little man, big man, little man. Got you up all night. Constantly making these videos. I got you up all night. So wait a minute. You doing a documentary. You doing a 48. You did a 48-hour straight live. You did a 24-hour live. Oh wait, you did a 24-hour special. Follow that up with a 48-hour special. So goodness gracious, man. Y'all boys can't get enough of this bus. They a fan. They a fan. They a fan. I'm not arguing with my fans. You guys are super fans. Yeah. I'm not arguing with my super fan. Never drive alone. Never drive alone. Hey, I got you guys mad as I don't know what. This is great. I think I should stay right here in this position. Don't go overboard. We're not arguing. We're not saying that now. Y'all go ahead and make your phone calls. Go ahead and send your emails. Oh shit. Go ahead and make your phone call, your emails, and go ahead and ask. It sounds like y'all want to ask, why? Why? Tell us that. Oh, nope. One thing we ain't finna do. We ain't finna keep letting you put the name in the chat. See, one thing I did, I come respect the chat. I spell people's name wrong. I don't say people's name. Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Why? You guys are crying. I'm not crying. You're crying. Ew. I'm not crying. You're crying. Ew. Back to the show. Thank you, Miss Yoto. Back to the show.
The minute your mama can't do for you anymore, you park her somewhere and don't give a damn about how mama's being treated. The same mother that brought you through fainting and pain into this world and cleaned your diapers and washed you. Now you can't go and wash mama and daddy in the closing days of their lives. What kind of children have you become? What kind of people have we become? Oh, Mr. Trump, you shall not commit murder. You took credit. Oh, yeah, I had the boys kill Qasem Soleimani. You sent the drone after him. How many have you killed? How many are you planning to kill? See, murder is your modus operandi. See, here I am now. You want me dead. And after today, you might want to speed it up. I don't know. But Mr. Trump, America has become a habitation of devils and a hole for every unclean spirit and a cage for every hateful bird. Hateful birds mean those that are in foreign countries. You in Wuhan province. I didn't know you were there. Now you got a little something that you want to bring home to America. Bad state to be in, brother, when you think you got friends and none of them are your friends. Because a hypocrite can't have a friend, because a hypocrite is a friend to nobody. Because he's a liar. She's a liar. When you are enemy of God, how in the hell can you be the friend of anybody? When God is the greatest benefactor of all of us, what right do we have to turn on God? And the dragon stood before the woman to devour her child as soon as it was born. What kind of child was it? It was a man-child that was destined to rule the nations, all of them, with a rod of iron. In our lessons, the devil worked to destroy you when you're a baby. He's not going to let you grow into strength and power. Once he knows you're his enemy and you're a baby, he will kill the baby. That's why your babies are not doing well. Babies dying of AIDS. Babies sick. Babies being killed. Let's talking about you, brother, the black man. You have a great destiny. You don't think much of yourself, brothers, but you are some powerful men. All of you. There's not one of you that is not potentially powerful. The enemy knows this. So he stands before the apostle to devour the man-child, because he don't expect the woman to supplant him, but you will supplant the white man as a ruler. And that he never intends to see. So his aim is to destroy the black man, and particularly the black child. And that's why FOI class is so important. And that's why you must understand, brothers, that we are at war, even though you don't see a bullet being fired. We're at war, but the war is fought on this level now. They're after the men. Before you can grow from a child into a man, they don't want to see you become a man. Kill you now. They want no competition. And so, brothers and sisters, we have to look at the enemy within. The enemy that's on the outside, that you can handle. But the enemy that you got to really watch for is the dragon, sitting next to you, posing as a Muslim. They've already spoken the word of disbelief and disbelief after their Islam, but they won't leave the mosque. They sit in the mosque, and they come after every new brother and every new sister to poison them. Their aim is to destroy Islam. They can't do it. The enemy sent in a particular mosque a man in. He was a young man. And he worked his way up into the secretarial department. And he was told by those who sent him to steal the money of the poor believers who are giving their money in charity to the cause of Islam. Here's an agent of the federal government working his way into the secretarial department to steal the funds of poor people so that we can't make progress for poor people. Isn't that something? This is going on right now. So everybody in the mosque is not a Muslim, though they all say assalamu alaikum. You got to understand that. Nothing wrong with that. That's just as it's written that it would be. You got people in here that are sincere, brothers and sisters, and you got people that are faking it. And if you don't know who the sincere ones are, who the fakers are, then you have to grow and be wise and watch and listen to people. And look, when I speak to you, you go out on a high, man. That's what truth does. If somebody is talking to you on the spirit of the minister, they don't kill your spirit, they lift your spirit. But when you're sitting next to somebody and they're talking to you and you go home and your head is all confused and messed up.
KB, they trying to disrupt your show. Yeah, boy. That's why I'm timing them out. I'm timing them out. They mad. They play ain't work. They are upset that play didn't work. Yes. They thought that I was gonna go over here and rant and rave. Not happening. But this is crazy. This is interesting that this was like 6-7 years ago, and this speech seemed to be right on point. It's right on point with what's happening. So that's going to be interesting to see what comes of this in the next couple coming weeks and months and years, because I don't think this is going to be over. If you ask me, can't just take from people and they don't have any, it is not any backlash. But again, like I said, America probably planned for this.
That's the president. That is giving the game away, because 2/3 of my Republican colleagues in the Congress wake up every single morning and say, what can I do today to prove my loyalty to the president of the United States? And Jim Jordan, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, seems to be unaware that our whole system, Dana, is set up to provide checks and balances. That the job of a member of Congress is to approach the president, regardless of that president's party, with skepticism, with pushback, with checks and balances. So again, I hope you can play that video over and over again so America can see the fact that they no longer have a Congress.
Congressman, on the topic of Congress and being briefed, what the Trump administration is saying is that they didn't want to notify Congress because leaders, people like you, leak. The Secretary of State said it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission. And then the president said Congress has a tendency to leak. Your response?
Well, two responses. Number one, that's not accurate. I've sat in on a number of Gang of Eight meetings talking about the boat strikes in which there have been no leaks. So number one, that's not accurate. Now, when you brief all 535 members of Congress, there's a higher probability that there could be a leak. But again, I'm a member of the Gang of Eight, and I have yet to get a phone call from anybody in the administration, right? I talked to Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, yesterday. He got no phone call even after the event. If this were an administration serious about abiding by the law, and that's the second point that's really important here, whether you think Congress leaks or not, the law says you must brief the Congress. So this is just yet another example of absolute lawlessness on the part of this administration, and they get away with it because of what Jim Jordan just told you.
Dang. Hey, they calling it lawlessness. Now, wait a minute now. If the president is the commander in chief and he's designed to protect this country. So if he feels like or has evidence that if he has evidence that Maduro is selling drugs or doing something of the sort, then they can do that. He can go get Maduro without Congress. If they're treating him like a drug kingpin, yeah, Congress don't get in the business of drug kingpins. They will go after Maduro faster than you can say hi chew. So I don't know why they won't allow that to be said, but I will say it does look like just America is just doing their thing.
I trust the president. I'm not interested in acting as a check or a balance on this, imperial exercise of presidential might.
Let's look ahead. You said removing a leader, however brutal, without a next day plan is, quote, dangerous and irresponsible. We can talk about the effective plan if there is one. We don't know, but Maduro is gone. What do you think should happen right now to prevent chaos in Venezuela?
Yeah. Dan, it's a great question because we're caught up in exactly the euphoria that we got caught up with in 2002 when the Taliban went down, in 2003 when in Iraq Saddam Hussein went down, in 2011 when Gaddafi was killed. We're caught up in this euphoria of how amazing we are at taking down leaders. But again, let's tick through those countries: Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya. Post our removal of those leaders, I think all of us would look back and say, oh my God, we don't want to do that again. We don't want to not have a plan for the next day. And I don't know about you, but I heard the president yesterday say, we're going to run Venezuela. Now, again, I'm just a member of the Gang of Eight who hasn't yet gotten a phone call from the White House. But as far as I know, we don't have a single person on the ground in Venezuela right now. So what it means for us to be running this, I don't know. What I can tell you, Dana, is that if you were serious about stability in Venezuela, you would have not done two things that the president did yesterday. Number one, you wouldn't have spent half your press conference talking about oil. What do Venezuelans hear when they hear Donald Trump talking about oil? What they hear is the Americans are here for our resources.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it looked right. Yeah, if it looks like a duck, it is a duck. See, I'm one of the ones that can call a spade a spade. Yeah. Yeah, this looked like what it is,
And by the way, I wouldn't have delegitimized probably the most politically popular woman in Venezuela, recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. And Donald Trump.
Now we know why the oil price is going low now. And Donald Trump probably was like, you know what, since y'all want to slow me up from doing what I'm doing, let me goddamn speed it up and take some oil or something. Because it damn sure looked like they just took it. You were just going to take it, wasn't you?
Just out of nowhere says she doesn't have the respect or the standing. He not only made this about oil, but he delegitimized probably the most unifying force in Venezuela right now.
Let me ask you about that because you'll know the answer based on your perch on the Intel Committee. What I have heard about the sort of dynamic there, that potentially what the president was saying about Machado, who won the Peace Prize, is that it's about the Venezuelan military. And the Venezuelan military is so powerful that the elected official, not the dictator like we saw Maduro, but the elected official has to have the backing of the military. And perhaps Machado or even another candidate who came after her, effectively won in 2024, Edmundo Gonzalez, don't have that.
Well, I don't even know quite how to respond to that. Number one, the Venezuelan military demonstrated precisely how powerful they were 48 hours ago when they couldn't stop an invasion of their own country and in which not a single American serviceman was killed or a single military asset. So I'm going to not be terribly sympathetic to the argument that the Venezuelan military is a giant standing astride the globe. Secondly, my God, we're the United States of America, right? We care, or at least we used to care about democratic norms. We used to care about the idea that the people ought to have a little something to say about who governs them. And again, Donald Trump yesterday in his news conference basically, I think, set the stage for a disaster here by making this about the oil and by taking the person, Machado, who is recognized not just in Venezuela, but by the world as the most legitimate political actor and saying, she doesn't have the juice. I mean, come on.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, one of the members of the Gang of Eight, said he knows very little about the president's objective and wants some answers.
Now, I was not briefed. I still have not been briefed. We've got no information.
Chuck Schumer, you know dang on well why you didn't get briefed. You probably would have called the president of Venezuela yourself and told him Trump was coming. So that's why you didn't get briefed. We can all understand that. Come on, dog. You know why you didn't get briefed. Don't do that.
From them.
All right, my panel is back. Beyond just the briefing, there's the actual authorizing this strike. This is what Susie Wiles, the White House Chief of Staff, said to Vanity Fair magazine in an interview that was published.
To be fair, I will say it on both sides of the coin. You do not have to have Congress to authorize a strike of somebody they're treating like a drug kingpin. They don't get Congress to authorize a strike on Rollo. They don't get Congress to authorize a strike on Big Meech. They treated this man, Maduro, whether we think it's true or not, they treated Maduro just like they would treat your brother, your uncle, or whoever else. He's on that terrorist list or whatever. He's on that list for as a leader of a gang, and the United States ain't playing about gangs. So if that's what they have him listed at, whether we believe it true or not, if that's the case, they can go over there and get him without Congress. Now, whether we believe him or not, that's a whole nother story. And I agree with you on that. That's a whole nother story, whether we believe it or not. But based on what they're saying, they don't have to go ask Congress about nothing.
Just a few weeks ago, if you were to authorize some activity on land, then it's war, then we need Congress.
Right, right.
So she says.
So for this broader operation, the administration has been relying on those very, decades-old use of force authorizations back in 2001. But I found it really interesting when the administration did start doing their notifications. Obviously, Chuck Schumer is a little lower down on the list of the people that they talk to. But I found
typically, though, they would notify members in both parties, leaders in both parties on something like
particularly in advance, even if it's just very minimal, just to let them know what's going on. But the administration said we felt that was not necessary. And then Trump kind of just went in and said, also, they would probably leak. And that is why they decided to keep the lid on it. But when they started notifying members of Congress, I found it really interesting. I don't know if you did, Manu, that one of the first people that they talked to was Mike Lee of Utah. And he's not, he's not in leadership. He is not, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. But he is a Republican who has been critical of both administrations or administrations in both parties using, relying on that old AUMF and kind of going beyond the powers of the presidency. And I found, so the fact that Rubio went to him, among the first and rationalize the administration's actions there, and he seemed to be persuaded. They were really trying to neutralize their potential Republican critics there.
Manu, the Gang of Eight does not leak.
Right.
I've been at this for a little while.
I was about to say, right.
They may, after the operation is over, step in and criticize this, but at that point, the operation's over. But they do not blow operations in advance. Neither, by the way, does mainstream media when they learn of these things in advance. So, so the president's argument here, I did not think carried a whole lot of water. The second part of this is you could separate out grabbing him as the U.S. grabbed Noriega in 1989 and say that's the law enforcement part of that. But you have to separate out the law enforcement part from the part we were just discussing, which is the virtual occupation part, the part where we say, we now will be essentially running your government. You can do whatever you want as long as it's in our interests. And if it's not in our interests, there may be a second wave of invasion. And by the way, look off coast.
Seems like no one has been really briefed on that second piece of what you're talking
That's
about.
right.
And to your point about the order of operations here, I mean, what I was hearing is they were essentially looking at the tweets from Republicans and calling the people that were out there tweeting questions.
Who could create political problems for them on the right.
Exactly, exactly. And the thing about this Venezuela issue and the power of Congress is it's not just Democrats that have been critical. I mean, in the aftermath of this operation, Republicans have largely stood in line. But prior to this, I mean, I've been hearing from Republican lawmakers that they are not getting enough information from the administration.
Again, to be clear, if they're treating him like a drug kingpin, they do not have to get approval from Congress. So I don't know why they won't even present it how the president and them are presenting it. They're putting our beliefs above what they're presenting it as. They're presenting this guy as a drug kingpin, a leader of a terrorist organization. If that's the case, they don't have to go call Congress.
Fox News of former Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro in DEA custody there on your screen as he arrived in New York City yesterday evening. Time now to bring in our Sunday panel. USA Today White House correspondent Francesca Chambers, host of The Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio, Guy Benson, Fox News contributor Richard Fowler, and George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. Thanks to all of you. We're going to dive into the politics of all of this real quick, Jonathan. I want to ask you from a legal perspective. We just heard the president yesterday, Secretary Rubio yesterday, General Keane laid out now a path looking forward for Venezuela, where if the United States is not in agreement with the interim president, the administration may very well look to remove her from power, as well as a host of other cabinet officials in that country. Can the U.S. really do that?
Yes, both practically and legally. When the president says we're going to hand this over, sort of the new Gitmo policy, give it to Marco, because there's a rumor that he's sleeping 3 hours a night. So he has a little bit of.
He needed another job.
Another job, right. But the fact is that this is squarely within the previous case of Noriega in terms of the law enforcement aspects. And they really ramped that up by having law enforcement personnel in the extraction team to put him under custody, take him to New York. That seems to be iron plated. And I don't think Maduro is going to be any more successful than Noriega was. Now, in terms of the aftermath, yeah, presidents are allowed to regime change, to engage in nation building. You can't have a judge that says, I'm not going to allow that. That's within the Article 2 powers of the president. You can object to it. You can say that that's not a policy we should pursue. But
all right, so he's saying it's under the Article 2 powers of the president. Let's hear that again, because we always hear what CNN says. So I'm going to play both sides of it so that you can get a perspective and do what you want with it instead of just pushing an agenda. Push both sides of what is being said and what's allowed, because I don't think they do that in the media. They don't never say what a person is allowed to do, what the president is allowed to do. And whether we like it or not, whether we like the president or not, if he's allowed to do this legally, then he should be able to do it.
within the Article 2 powers of the president, engage in nation building. Yeah, presidents are allowed to regime change, to engage in nation building. You can't have a judge that says, I'm not going to allow that. That's within the Article 2 powers of the president. You can object to it. You can say that that's not a policy we should pursue. But absent some countervailing act by Congress, I'm not even sure they can.
So they can object to it. So why don't they just object to it? Why won't they just object to it? If you don't think this is the way to go, if you don't think this is appropriate to do, then just object to it. And Trump has seemed, he seemed to be abiding by whatever Congress decide. He'll appeal it. But let's see.
Could go very far on that. I think that he's in a good position. It's been done before.
Guy, here's Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on X yesterday. She writes, "This is not about the drugs. If it was, Trump wouldn't have pardoned one of the largest narco traffickers in the world last month. It's about oil and regime change. And they need a trial now to pretend that it isn't, especially to distract from Epstein and skyrocketing healthcare costs." That is a zinger. What do you say?
That's a pitiful response. You should talk to the people of Venezuela or the Venezuelans in New York, with the diaspora of Venezuelans celebrating all across the world with the fall of this regime. Maduro was never the president of that country. He's an illegitimate, or was an illegitimate dictator. And I look forward to the day, hopefully soon, that the Venezuelans will have self-determination. What an achievement by our military, another flawless operation. I think politically, Jillian, the American people are willing to see the military leverage for overwhelming uses of power, for military strikes and missions like this, so long as they are discreet, limited, and not open-ended nation building and that sort of thing. And we've seen that as a hallmark of Trump foreign policy going back to the previous Trump administration. And of course, we've seen it vis-a-vis Iran and Venezuela here. For the Democrats, it's just bizarre. The Biden-Harris administration offered a $25 million reward leading to the capture and arrest of Nicolas Maduro. And now Democrats seem to be objecting to, and the DNC is fundraising off of, being angry about the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. It is completely incoherent and unserious.
We have that email from Ken Martin at the DNC. If we can put it up on our screen for our viewers. Richard, is this whole...
And this is what I don't like about our media today. They play too much red and blue. They play too much left and right, play too much identity politics. It's like, just say what people can do and can't do. If the president has these powers, state the facts. If the Congress has power to overturn it, state the facts. Don't push propaganda. Don't push people to think that somebody is a dictator or these things. Trump seems to act within the law. Whether another president exercise their powers or not, he'll find a way to do something, whether it be illegal or legal, or whether you think it's right or wrong. He'll do it in a way where legally he has the capabilities of doing so. And if I don't have the capabilities, then take me to court. And that's kind of how he's doing it. Take me to court about it. The Democrats wanted to do it. Trump did it.
Venezuela operation, as AOC says, just a distraction from the Epstein files and the healthcare cliff that Republicans face when they come back.
I wouldn't go that far, but what I will say, where I agree with Guy, is that, the American people do like swift, accurate military actions. What they don't like is the ideal of nation building. And so I think the question, what Trump sort of left open yesterday in his press conference, is America will run Venezuela, right? And the last time we heard that, while we know this is not Iraq or Afghanistan, was we heard George Bush say they'll greet us as liberators and the oil will pay for it. And we now know both of those statements are not true. So the question for the Trump administration is, how do you do this in a world in which the American people were around for that and they don't want that again? On top of that,
did you hear any answers yesterday?
No, did not hear any answers on that. And I think the other thing here too is when you think about now this enters our court. Now, I think if this is another Justice Department, I would say this is a slam dunk, and I would agree with Jonathan Turley. This Justice Department has some trouble with these blockbuster cases, whether it's Letitia James, whether it's James Comey, whether it's the turkey sandwich hoagie guy here in Washington, D.C., where they couldn't land a misdemeanor case. So now there's a lot of questions on how this administration will handle the aftermath of a perfect operation yesterday, and I think that's why Democrats are asking questions.
What do you say to that, Francesca, this idea that there is virtually zero appetite among the U.S. military, among voters, for another foreign war with no end point in sight? In this case, maybe not a war, but you break it, you buy it.
Well, the president has been receiving some pushback from some of his MAGA supporters, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of his former close allies, as well as other Republicans and Democrats in Congress. But with respect to the foreign war aspect, I mean, we're already in Venezuela now. The question, as we go back to what Richard was saying, there's many open-ended questions. How do they plan to get to this judicious transition? Who is going to run the country in the interim? And going back to the question of the oil, the president says, and administration officials have said, that this is something that American blood, sweat, and tears have went into, and that America should have access to this oil. Okay, which oil companies are going to go in and rebuild the infrastructure?
That's what I want to know. Insider trade, lady, which oil companies are going to be the one so we can all get shares in those oil companies right now? Which oil companies is going to be the one? Hey, y'all. Hey, I'm so bad. I'm bad to the bone. I got people up mad watching me right now. Need to go to bed. Don't want to go to bed. Crying up all night. Wish they played would have worked, but it didn't. So their eyes can swell up and cry. And go to bed. Go to bed. Lay next to your woman, boy. But listen, everybody got paid. And this is sad. This is sad because this is all about money, for real, in my opinion. And I want to know the oil companies that's going to get it. Somebody said Exxon Mobil. It's time to buy. I ain't telling you what to do, but maybe I'm going to just go get some Exxon Mobil stock or some oil stock. Maybe I might get all the oil, the top oil places stock. I don't know. I'm just saying.
And then who is that money going to go to? Is it going to go to the American government, those companies? How much of that is going to the Venezuelan people?
I think part of the problem with calling regime change and how negative that sounds is that this indictment is going to be a regime change. He was not the only people indicted. There's a slew of Maduro lieutenants still there,
including his wife.
Yes, who are indicted. And so just the enforcement of the law enforcement portion of this is going to end up with regime change because the regime was the criminal enterprise. So at the end of the day, there's not going to be the same people there if this case is fully prosecuted.
Panel, we got to leave it there. Thank you all for joining us on the first Sunday of the new year. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
The U.S. military went in, again, with some...
No, we don't want to play that one. We want to get this other one. Hey, y'all. Hey, boy, I'm funny as I don't know what. I ain't gonna lie. Boy. I got some jokers upset. Hey, and they do their podcast in the kitchen. What kind of joke is that? Inside Devil's Choice. Ooh. All right, they finna hit you with them hot facts. One of them, something like this. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Hold on. I just found something. Let me see. They just came and updated this 20-something minutes ago. This is what they allege. Tomorrow, Maduro will be arraigned in federal court, faces criminal charges. So they charging this man. So now we'll be able to see what the charges is going to be. But they're giving a little bit of it right now. Hold on.
Just an impressive military feat, but the culmination of years of diligent work by federal law enforcement.
We have been building a case against Maduro for years. Homeland Security investigations, along with the FBI and the CIA, have been tracking his drug trafficking, his crimes against humanity right here in the United States. And to see him brought to justice is incredibly satisfying for those families that have to live without their loved ones today because of the crimes that he's committed for decades.
The indictment describes in detail how the dictator and his wife controlled state-sponsored gangs and ordered kidnappings, beatings, and murders against those who owed them money or sought to undermine their drug empire. By 2020, the State Department estimated that as much as 250 tons of cocaine was trafficked through Venezuela to the United States annually. Joining us now is Fox News contributor, attorney, and former deputy special counsel, Saul Weisenberg. Thank you so much for being with us tonight on such an important day. Saul, is there any doubt in your mind the United States was justified in arresting Maduro?
As a matter of federal criminal law, there is no question that the U.S. government had the right to do what it did. It goes back to the Noriega case, and it even goes before Noriega. Even if what the U.S. did violated international law or violated the UN Charter, the case law is clear.
Yeah, that's a good point. Did Trump kidnap Maduro or did American government? He's being charged by New York federal courts, not Donald Trump. Yeah, so he's being charged by the American government, not by Trump.
It's Supreme Court case law as well, that we have the legal right to do it and to bring him to justice in the United States. Now, the different question is whether or not, it's a constitutional question, is whether or not the president should have consulted with or received the authority from the U.S. Congress. That's a political question. That's not going to be decided by the U.S. courts. That's going to be a question between the president and Congress. And as you know, right now, the Congress is controlled by the president's party. So I don't think you're going to see a big clash between the branches over this.
Saul, do you think we're going to see any type of offer from the U.S. government to try to get some sort of deal, maybe to get some intelligence out of Maduro, whether he's talking or not? What's it going to take for the U.S. government to say, okay, here's something that maybe we can offer you?
I don't really know, but it's now that they have the benefit, the U.S. government has the benefit of using this precedent of U.S. criminal law to be allowed to essentially kidnap him. And they want to make sure they don't run afoul of any criminal procedure type issues. That's kind of a practical question you're asking that I don't know the answer to. And I'm not at all saying, like I said, somebody could end up determining, some international court or the UN, that this rendition violated U.S. law. What I can tell you, international law. What I can tell you is that does not matter. Okay, as a matter of U.S. criminal law, we are allowed to do what we did under U.S. precedents. And that's the most important thing right now. And the president, however, in the press conference, talked about other things that went well beyond what Secretary of State Rubio said about the justification. And he needs to be careful about that simply because it could end up being used against the government in a court of law.
Saul Molly here. Thanks for being with us. I wanted to ask you, this is a conspiracy, and among the alleged co-conspirators are Nicolas Maduro's wife, Celia. She's also a very high-level, long-time involved government in person, deeply, deeply entrenched in the Maduro regime, both of them before that with Hugo Chavez and the regime prior to their regime, which is really one ideology spread throughout. You know, does that add to the challenge? Their son is also indicted.
Dang, so this man got his whole family indicted? I wonder if they're going to be able to prove his connection to the mob and to all these people. The mob going to murk him before he talk? And maybe they're trying to save this dude so that he can talk, so they can give him an out, give him an American citizenship, let him live over here in this country. They got his whole family. America could have saved that dude. They got him, his wife, his kid. Now, if he was doing something illegal and he wants to tell and make a new life, he could do so now. They got everybody in custody. He can be reunited with his family. Just tell us what's up. The same exact, hold on, you got to be kidding me. The same exact warrant was out for him under under Biden-Harris administration. They locked Trump up, not Maduro. You got to be shitting me. So listen, guys. If President Trump did something that Biden them wanted to do, no wonder Biden them upset. If President Trump executed the warrant that was already on the books, what are they mad at President Trump about again? Because we getting out of debt. And this is our way forward. This is a new way forward. This is what it seems like. This is a new way forward. This is how they go get out of debt. We go get out of debt. But I'm not mad at the president for executing a warrant that was already on the books, because they executed warrants against my brother. See, I'm not going to cry for everybody around the world like everybody else. Don't nobody cry for us. They executed warrants on my brothers them over and over and over again. And I ain't see nobody crying for my brothers when they was executing those warrants. When you get a warrant, that's what they do. They execute it. I don't understand it, but hey, that's the law.
Well, I don't. It adds to their challenge. It adds to her challenge. I don't think it adds to the challenge of the United States. I assume they've got ample evidence to support the indictment. And really, if we are allowed to take the head of state and capture him and bring him here because we have a valid U.S. indictment, it would be even more so for members of his family and members of his administration. I don't have any doubt. Factually, the government can prove its case.
Saul, Jason Chaffetz here. Set aside the indictment for a moment. The United States of America has never recognized that Maduro was the legitimate winner of the election, that he was not indeed the president of that nation. It begs the question of who's in charge. Now, President Trump, Secretary Rubio was on shows this morning, for instance, arguing that, yes, the United States will fill that role for at least some period of time. But this opens up a number of sticky questions. How do you read this?
Well, by what authority or is the president just deciding, well, we may let the vice president stay around for a while. We may let the opposition leader take over. I mean, you're right. That's a very sticky question. Of course, Congress can always come in and say and pass legislation and says, here's how we're going to deal with this situation. Congress could have passed a declaration of war if the president had gone to them ahead of time. But there's a long line of cases, as you know, a long history, right or wrong, of the U.S. intervening in South America, in Latin America, without congressional authorization. So they need to think about these kind of things. However, by what authority are we acting? I think probably our government would prefer to see the person who we have stated was the legitimately elected opposition leader. But, stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed. Well, Saul, Secretary Rubio clarified this operation was not an invasion of Venezuela, but an arrest. Take a look at this.
This was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest.
Another president, he said, question, can another country come and kidnap our president? Just asking. No, they would try. I mean, if they had the opportunity to do so, they would. But can't no other country come over here playing with us as far as kidnapping our president now. We ain't playing that. His freedom hinges on snitching on which Americans work with 2016 to 2026. 2026. Oh, yeah. He going to end up somewhere asleep. I don't know how they going to protect him in jail because they gonna send somebody after him. If he know all this stuff, if he knows stuff about the mob and he knows stuff about our old administration, he already know. No wonder he talking about Happy New Year and seeming normal. He know it's over for him. It's over.
Operation. This is a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents, read his rights, and removed from the country.
So you somewhat addressed this, but I want to go back to it just so our audience can really understand, because I think that's where a lot of the question comes in. What happens next about the legality going forward in terms of the Trump administration running the country? Can you walk us through how that would work exactly to the best of your ability?
Absolutely, I cannot walk you through it because nobody knows what we're going to do. Secretary Rubio said exactly what he was supposed to say. This is a law enforcement operation assisted by the military. He said it exactly the way it should be said. The problem is, as you know, the president sometimes has lengthy press conferences, and when you start talking about we need to be paid back for the oil they took, and we're going to run the country for a while, that's when you run into some problems. Look, it's not going to be enough to let any court of law come in. No court of law is going to come in and invalidate this. But it does leave questions open about what's going to happen. And I don't have a crystal ball on that.
Well,
and obviously, Marco Rubio didn't have a crystal ball on what the president was going to say at the press conference.
Well, this president always errs on the side of transparency where he can speak indirectly to the American people. So I'm guessing we'll find out more in the days and weeks to come. Saul Weisenberg, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, Trump ain't gonna never say nothing the right way. Trump was probably supposed to go up there and say, "Hey, look here. He was under federal investigation. He had a warrant. We exercised that warrant. It was perfectly clean. It was perfectly legal. If not, Congress can check out the warrant. It was on the books when Joe Biden was in office. I do my job." He could have left it like that. Man. Talking about, don't worry, damn Hillary is on the way. Word is John Wick is hiding from her.
We got you on the table tonight, so I want to get just your overall reaction to not only what Saul said about the legality between law and political conversations and what you make of this whole situation.
First of all, there were men and women who spent months on end in the intelligence services, making sure we understood that if needed, the president had the option to execute a flawless operation. Then you had the men and women, once the president gave the go order, to actually do that. And I stand in awe. There is no country that could do this. And you have a brave president in President Trump to actually do what all theirs have bloviated about, but never actually done. With that aside, moving forward, yes, Venezuela is a pivotal country. It does play an important role. There's a reason why we were talking before the show, why China, why Russia, others were so interested in what was going on in Venezuela. But at the end of the day, Democrats have a choice. They can either stand in the idea that they're going to protect the United States of America, the men and women who've given their lives, that have been on the receiving end of fentanyl and all these other drugs and narco traffickers and have lived under the oppression of Tren de Aragua and the FARC and everything else, the Sinaloa cartel, which I think will be a blossoming story. Those types of things, the Democrats can either go that direction and try to fight President Trump, or they can do what the people of Venezuela and the Venezuelan Americans are doing, which is celebrating the idea that the world is now a better place, that this person is no longer in charge because he was destroying and killing people. And I know there's allegations. He'll get his day in court, but the United States of America is the only country that would give him that opportunity.
That's for sure. Molly, Jason mentioned seeing Secretary Rubio on all the Sunday morning shows, really going to battle against a lot of the legacy media, and I think doing a fantastic job, just in my estimation. But he was asked over and over again about why are we entitled to the oil, or why is this, why are we entitled to any of it, really? And his answer was, this is our hemisphere, and Russia and China, it's not yours, and we're going to control this hemisphere. And I think that was a pretty honest and direct way to put it. But what did you make of it?
I thought one of the most.
Dang. Well, Trump too honest. Trump, like, look here. we understand that China is about to take this oil or Russia, so we're gonna take it first. This is our hemisphere. Hey, that's gangster. I believe that it was better for Trump in America to take it because I believe Trump will make good in Venezuela. I believe he'll bring hotels and jobs and things back over there that they don't necessarily have now. So Venezuela may look good in a minute. Like somebody just put in the chat, Venezuela is going to be good for tourism soon. Yeah, Venezuela it's a beautiful country. Everybody talk about it. If they can clean up all that stuff that's going on, people gonna be visiting and buying land in Venezuela. Trump really hates drug dealers in the cartel. Yeah, he seemed to be trying to bust up he using the military to bust up all them drug cartels, boy. They gonna send somebody after Trump. Man. Baltimore game was good. Side note. Yeah, he tell everything. Look here, man. This is what it was. He did have a warrant, but forget the warrant. They ain't finna get to that oil for us. That's basically what Trump said. Yeah. The warrant is the formality to go over there. But they ain't finna get to that oil before us. Did you want China to get to the oil before us? Like, would that be better? I want to know. For the people that's gonna make videos, Trump, a dictator, he did this, which I can agree. I think he took the oil. But do you want China to get the oil over us? Just be honest. Do you want Russia? Obviously, Venezuela couldn't protect itself, so they wasn't the biggest dog in the yard, but they got gold chains and shit on. What happens in the hood when you got gold chains, watches, cars, and things, and you blanging and blanging, and you ain't got no wolves or you ain't feed them wolves? What ended up happening? So I think that's what ended up happening. He said, "I'll be a liar if I say I didn't look into the oil stock." I'm just saying. Everyone gonna want to snatch that chain, put it in their pocket, or wear it. So you got to be able to protect your stuff. Am I saying this right? No, but this is the way of the world that we live in. If not America, then it was going to be our competitors. And if we want to stay a superpower or one of the most powerful nations, I think the American government made a decision more so than Trump.
It's interesting things he said. It was a small word, but he said we didn't occupy the country, and yet also we're somehow running the country. So without the military entrenched in amongst the people, of course, we're there just off into the waterways and have a huge military presence. It is a difference from what we've seen previously in Panama and in other parts of the world where the United States, when a move was made, actually had rather entrenched military presence on the ground, kind of intertwined. So that's a little bit different here. So I'm still interested to see in the coming weeks and days what it means to run a country. Right now, we still seem to see a lot of pressure being put on the old Maduro regime. Those folks are still in place. And, how deftly we can control the situation through those individuals, I think are the questions that I would have for Secretary Rubio and the whole administration. We may get those answers in the days and weeks ahead.
I have a feeling we're going to get a lot in the next few days. Rich, when we talked to Saul, he said basically international law doesn't matter. He put it pretty simply. And we know we've got Mayor Mamdani and others talking about UN and international law. But it sounds like if you just cut and dry this thing, it's not a matter of international law.
No, and the U.S. under both administrations, Democratic and Republican administrations, have often ignored what would be considered international law, like the International Criminal Court, for example. Not to say that the U.S. isn't and hasn't been a huge player when it comes to working with the UN, trying to find diplomatic solutions with a number of different countries. But when it boils down to it, the U.S. has repeatedly throughout its history done what it has done in its own international interests, and it has adhered to Senate-ratified treaties as opposed to perhaps what the United Nations may or may not have not passed. So the U.S. has made it very clear that in this case, even when it comes to international law, it views Maduro as nothing more than a drug kingpin because he's not legally elected. by even the constitution of that own country. It was a fraudulent election, according to the United States, back in 2024. And so really, it was somebody who was posing as president of the country, according to the U.S., who was a drug kingpin, and we've simply extradited him. There are plenty of other governments in that region, many of them left-leaning, many other U.S. Adversaries around the world who have a very different take on that. But that's the U.S. take.
I think it's notable, too, that the Biden administration at that time at the election also increased the bounty. So they agreed that Maduro was a criminal worthy of pursuit at that time, not so long ago, just at the beginning of 2025.
Molly, they've completely forgotten that, apparently. The tweets will live forever, but the Trump derangement syndrome, it just knocked all the sense out of them.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
All right, let's find a video from CNN. We got to be fair. Let's see if CNN updated their video. Because we want to get both sides of the coin on what they think about this. Let's see the newest video from CNN. All right, this is the newest video from CNN right here. Trump derangement syndrome is hilarious. Well, salute to you, Bob. This guy made himself the president of a country to control the cocaine trade. That's crazy. Let's go to CNN, get their side of the story. This is their latest video.
From the Trump administration saying top officials lied to them about ousting Nicolas Maduro and questioning whether the president violated the Constitution by attacking Venezuela without congressional approval. Here with me now is a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Democrat Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Thank you so much for being here.
Certainly.
What's your reaction to this operation?
Well, I mean, clearly this is wildly illegal. This is a president who has been operating illegally since he was sworn into office, stealing from the American people, seizing spending power.
What's illegal?
Now dragging America into a war overseas. The president cannot run a military operation of this size, cannot invade a foreign country without coming to Congress first, without allowing the American public to weigh in. America doesn't want this.
The president was in Mar-a-Lago. The FBI went to that country to exercise a warrant, though. This is why it'd be weird to listen to CNN, though. They won't give it to you straight. They'll just give it to you based on how they feel about the situation. They won't say, yes, if he has an active warrant by the federal government, that they can go get him. They won't say that.
This war. Nobody asked for this because it has nothing to do with American national security. And I think that's the most important conversation to have. Listen, Venezuela is not a security threat to the United States. They're not threatening to invade us. There is no terrorist group like Al-Qaeda operating there that has plans to attack the United States. To the extent that you care about the drug trade, yes, they produce drugs, but those drugs go to Europe. Fentanyl is the drug that's killing Americans. That's not coming from Venezuela. Venezuela produces cocaine. 90% of it is not coming to the United States. This seems
Look how he tried to just gloss over the claim. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they do drugs. Yeah, they could produce drugs, but I mean, it's not going to us. It's going to Europe. I mean, yeah, they produce a lot of drugs over there, but who cares? It's going to Europe. Wow, that's crazy.
to be mostly about oil and natural resources. Donald Trump's entire foreign policy is corrupt. Russia, the Middle East, and now Venezuela is all about making money for his friends. And Wall Street, the oil industry, they can make a lot of money off of Venezuela if they run it. You saw within hours of the invasion, the announcement of a group of Wall Street investors, energy industry investors, planning a trip to Venezuela to make money off of this invasion, off of this ouster. So unfortunately, once again, you're seeing that this president's foreign policy, the invasion of Venezuela, the ouster of Maduro, is about making.
Tara in the Black said, how does he know where the drugs are going? That is a great question. I do not know.
making his crowd filthy rich. It has nothing to do with American national security.
Can I just go back to the legality and the point that you made about needing to come to Congress first? You know that for decades, Congress has let Democratic and Republican presidents sort of go for it on military actions. I mean, look at President Obama in Libya. And so it's not new that Congress has become, frankly, impotent on issues and matters of war.
That's absolutely true. And Congress needs to own its own role in allowing a presidency to become this lawless. The fact of the matter is that the president's justification makes no sense here. He says that this was just a law enforcement operation. Well, there are people with warrants all over the world. That doesn't give the president of the United States the power to launch $1 billion invasion of those countries to bring a fugitive to justice. Yes, Congress should have stepped in and either authorized or prohibited President Obama's actions in Libya. Yes, the United States Congress has sat on the sidelines to allow presidents to become more and more powerful in foreign policy, but that doesn't mean that it suddenly gives a imprimatur of legality to this massive invasion of a foreign country that the American public didn't ask for.
You know, there's no question that Maduro was a destabilizing force, not just in Venezuela, in the region. And there are people celebrating in the streets all over South America and Venezuelan expats abroad. So is it?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. If Maduro is so good, then why are these people overseas celebrating us from that country? Like, why are they celebrating? Please tell me, why are they celebrating? They're literally celebrating in the streets. There's Europe and allied to the United States. Man, that person is deflecting. How would he know where the drugs is going? He knows where the drugs is going, and then he don't care. And who knows if the drugs flow through Europe, through the United States? Like, it's so much about what he said that don't make sense.
Fair to say that there is some benefit in Maduro not being in power?
But what changes? I mean, you just heard Senator Cotton effectively not be able to explain who's running the country. Now, Delcy Rodriguez is a very powerful figure in her own right, handpicked by Maduro. Russia and China still provide enormous support to that country. What changes? Why would Venezuela stop its export of drugs, its harassment of U.S. interests in the region? There's really no explanation for how American interests are changed at all with a Rodriguez administration that right now seems to be intent on carrying through and carrying forward the policies of Nicolas Maduro.
In 2019, you wrote an op-ed and you called for Maduro to be gone. You said, let's get one thing straight. There should no longer be any debate about Maduro's lack of democratic legitimacy. The Trump administration is right to put restoring Venezuelan democracy at the center of our approach to this crisis. A return to a stable democracy is in the interest of the Venezuelan people and the United States and the hemisphere. We don't know what's going to happen with regard to the civilian leadership there. Tom Cotton was just here saying that he hopes that there are democratic elections. Isn't that what you want?
Well, the rest of that article right, was a criticism of President Trump's early moves to saber rattle around regime change. Listen, there are evil, brutal dictators all over the world. That does not give the American president the right to invade those countries, in large part because we have seen how this script.
That's what the other guy said, that's the powers of the president based on Article 2. That we can overthrow and we can change regimes, and that Congress can vote against it if they like. So let Congress vote against it.
Plays out. I watched an interview with Senator Cotton. You asked him what the difference was between Iraq and Venezuela. He didn't say the difference was we aren't going to invade Venezuela like we invaded Iraq. He said that if we invade Venezuela, which may be part of the president's plan, it's going to go really well. Over and over again, we have seen these warmongering neocons, many of which have influence in this White House, cheerlead us into war under the guise of removing a very bad man. That ends up getting a lot of Americans killed. And if this is really just about the oil, if this is really just about the natural resources, if this is just about getting a bunch of Donald Trump's friends on Wall Street even richer, I don't think there's a single American family who would support having their son or daughter.
First of all, Venezuela don't have the power to do all what you're talking about. We don't have to go. We've seen America bomb people in the middle of the night without nobody knowing that they were even there. So why are they acting like we fight wars like we used to back in the day, where we send troops on the ground and they hand-to-hand combat fight, or they shoot out a bunch of guns? No. Before any American troop hit the ground in Venezuela, if there's a problem, them drones gonna find out where the problem at. And they probably gonna clear out the biggest threats before troops even get there. So we haven't had large casualties in a while. So I don't know, if we lose 2-3 Americans, we nut up. I don't know what this guy is talking about. They act like we took oil from Russia or China or something. They took oil from Venezuela. They didn't take oil from, no. They ain't got no, I don't think they got no nuclear capability in Venezuela. And if they did, by now they don't. So I don't see how all these American troops are going to so-called die. I don't know where they're getting this news from, but I don't believe it. And that's why Trump kept reiterating no American troops lost their life. Democrats are the party of weenie dogs. Hey, man, that's what it seemed like.
Put into harm's way to defend the interests of Wall Street. This is once again American oil interests, American financial interests coming before the actual national security interests of the United States.
I do want to ask about a briefing that the Secretary of State and Defense held with senators. You were there last month about Venezuela. Can you talk about what they said and whether or not that actually bore out?
Well, I can certainly tell you the message that they sent was that this wasn't about regime change. And they came to Congress and they literally lied to our face. They said, this is just a counter-narcotics operation. This is about trying to interrupt the drug flow to the United States. Right around that same time, the White House Chief of Staff said publicly, if we ever had boots on the ground in Venezuela, of course we would have to come to Congress. Listen, there's no way to trust this administration. They aren't being straight with the American people. There isn't even a briefing scheduled for Congress next week to explain A, what happened, and B, what the plan is moving forward. But yes, I think everybody in that briefing heard the administration say, this is just a targeted counter-narcotics operation. This has nothing to do with regime change. They knew they weren't telling the truth in that room.
Senator Chris Murphy, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate
Happy New Year.
You too.
Donald Trump has issued a...
Hold on, we got the Sky News Australia. I want to see what they said about this. Because, hold on, let me get the video. Because Sky News Australia usually talk a little bit different than everybody else. Venezuela do what? Residents flood shops in fear of scarcity. Dang, they got a lot of good video. I'm gonna just play this one. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna have to go over a couple of these Sky News Australia videos tomorrow.
And absolutely, he will face the consequences for his crimes. But let's remember, Jillian, that what has happened, thousands and thousands of Tren de Aragua members have come into this country and perpetuated crimes. We have brought them to justice. We've arrested them. We've gotten them out of the country as well, sent them back to Venezuela. We're going to continue deporting criminals to face the consequences in their country. And that's our hope, is that we can continue to do this action now that President Trump has addressed Maduro and his wife and brought them to justice. And we'll continue to go after the other individuals named in this indictment. We have lost millions of American lives because of the drug trafficking that they have perpetuated on our people.
So she's saying that he will face the consequences for the drug trafficking they've pushed onto our American citizens. Now, if they push drugs over here, I mean, Trump would be justified if they have the proof.
At my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly.
These individuals that, Maduro was not a credible elected leader in Venezuela. And to watch individuals go out and protest and make threats on his behalf is unspeakable. And so this is a time when our country really must and make threats.
So this looks like the drug smuggling routes out of Venezuela. Yeah, they were sending it out 3 different places, allegedly. And that's how it got through Mexico, and through the United States. So the brother tried to say that they just sent it to Europe, but as you can see, there's a red line going through Mexico, and then Mexico through to Texas and into the United States.
On his behalf is unspeakable. And so this is a time when our country really will find out who loves America, who wants the freedoms and liberties that our country represents, and how they're willing to stand up and to defend it like President Trump is.
And regarding the ramifications, it's mixed opinions that we're seeing, of course, and evolving as we speak. But what are you looking at in terms of the outlook?
Yeah, look, I think this is the key question. So yes, a tactical success, but this has wide-ranging implications. The first of which, I guess, when we think about Venezuela, the president, Donald Trump, gave a press conference where he talked about the US ruling Venezuela. When you undertake military actions like this without a clear political outcome, it can become a bit of a quagmire. And we've seen that in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, we're not suggesting that Venezuela is anything like that, but there is a question about whether there is long-term thinking around what the US is trying to achieve here militarily. I think beyond that, yes, President Maduro was clearly a ruthless dictator.
So even this lady is saying that Maduro was a ruthless dictator. So if Trump got a ruthless dictator out, excuse me, what are we mad at? I don't get it.
his human rights record, his record of complying with legal votes. The 2024 election, very clearly, he was not actually lawfully elected. Despite that, though, there are real questions about what this means for international law. So really, under international law, you can only take an attack on another country if it's either endorsed by the UN Security Council, which this wasn't, or it's in self-defense. Now, that breaching of international law is part of a trend we're seeing where states are using military action or use of force across the world to achieve political aims. We've seen it, of course, in Europe in Russia's legal invasion of Ukraine. We've seen it in the Middle East. We've seen it between India and Pakistan, Thailand and Cambodia. And now we've seen the US do it in Venezuela. What this means is that really the world order in terms of international law is fundamentally breaking down. And there's a worry that this might encourage other countries to do the same. And of course, in the Indo-Pacific, there's a question about, does this encourage China to take further action against Taiwan? We saw that big exercise just a week ago, Exercise Justice Mission. So I think that's a major concern. On the flip side, though, there is a question about whether this is actually re-establishing US deterrence. For the last decade or so, really ever since President Obama put down a red line in Syria and said that if the then leader of Syria used chemical weapons, that there would be a red line for the US. The US didn't do anything after the leader did use chemical weapons. So there's been this question over the last decade about how much does US deterrence hold? Deterrence really rests on credibility, capability, and communications. And that credibility piece has been central. Now, I think that's one of the reasons Trump took action against Iran in June to re-establish deterrence. And there's a question about whether this action in Venezuela also does that, because it means that the US says they're going to do something and then they do it. And in some ways, that could be helpful for the Indo-Pacific and thinking about deterring China, but it could also be the flip side because of what it means for international law.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. And we had a former Navy SEAL on just before, Jennifer, and you made mention of Iraq, Afghanistan, but he also made mention that this particular situation is not ideologically driven, which was interesting to note when you compare what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, that's really true. And it doesn't actually look like, from what we're seeing anyway, that there's any US troops still on the ground there. So it is fundamentally different to those two. And the US reasons for doing this, look, they're not entirely clear. Of course, President Trump has talked about the narco-terrorist state that is Venezuela, and this is all about narco-terrorism. But we know that that's not really the case. Now, there's some commentary that it's about oil. I don't think it is just about oil. I think it is also about re-establishing deterrence and reducing the foothold of countries like Russia in the US's backyard. In fact, in the last 12 months, Venezuela signed a new strategic partnership with Russia, which is going to be really concerning to the US. So I agree. I don't think it's ideologically based. I think it's about a multitude of factors. I think oil's a part of it. I don't think drugs is part of it, but I do think deterrence is a key element of it.
All right, and then moving.
She don't think drugs are a part of it. I think drugs are a part of it. Like, Trump don't seem to be too kind to the drug dealer. I definitely think the drugs are a part of it, but I definitely think the oil is the main driving factor for sure. It's about the oil and the resources. That's just what any society is built on. That's why you got to have a strong military. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just the way it is. But hey, it done got late. I'm tired. I'm ready to go lay it down again. You guys have a blessed rest of your morning or rest of your day. Yeah, I'll probably be up in a few hours. I'm gonna go lay back down again. I kind of like this setup. I have most of my days to myself, and then I can go live once in the middle of the night after guys talk about me all day. Kind of cute. But y'all have a blessed night, a blessed rest of your night, and I'll be right back at you later on in the morning. I'm gone.